Walking through this part of town always takes me back. The relief of finishing literature class after poring over every stanza of Ode to the West Wind, avoiding the early lunchtime rush as I darted out of the English block, my art folder and my book of Shelley poems being unceremoniously dumped in my locker, the anticipation of waiting for my friends to show up so we could go to the chippy in town. We had so many trips to the beach in the summer holidays. I'll never forget the time Gareth got absolutely bladdered, yet still managed to beat Dom at volleyball. Or when a big group of us had a campfire party and Riley was tripping all night. I had a free period on Friday afternoons in my third year, so in the warmer weather, I'd go for a long walk along the seafront and I'd treat myself to one of those luxuriously good pancakes from the ice cream shop. I'd sit on the sea wall, feeling the sun against my face, with the taste of syrup and pancake batter on my tongue. Third year was nowhere near as memorable as the first two. It was bittersweet, but not in the way you might think. Those sunny afternoons spent on the promenade, looking out to sea with nothing but the cry of seagulls and my own thoughts for company. They're what I remember most about that year. Sometimes I wonder if I should have contacted him sooner. Maybe then things would have been different. I've been thinking about him a lot lately. That's why I'm so grateful he reached out when he did. September 2013. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, I walked through the doors of East Norfolk Sixth Form College. I was with a girl called Riley, who I've met through a bonding programme over the summer. The canteen was empty most mornings. Chairs and tables were usually set up during third period, just before lunch. Otherwise, it served as a kind of hangout for various cliques and for students who needed a place to study. That's where Riley and I spent our first free period. I can still remember exactly where we sat, both of us cross-legged on the floor with our backs against the wall. I recognised Dom and Gareth when they came in. We met during that summer programme. It was Leo who was the stranger. His features were wild and animated as he joked and guffawed with Dom. I'll admit he did annoy me at the time. I mean, there's nothing worse than a rabble-rouser disturbing the peace, especially when you're a bundle of nerves to begin with. But though he started as an abrasive voice bouncing off the walls of the cafeteria, I quickly learned that he wasn't like that all the time. He was just excited to see Dom and Gareth again. They went to the same high school, and he hadn't seen either of them since he left the year before. By the end of half-term, all three guys were my new friends. Suddenly, college wasn't just about assignments and deadlines anymore. I'd found my people. Believe me when I say we were a motley bunch. Dom was the confident leader of the group. Gareth was the mad genius. Riley was a woman of few words, but was fiercely intelligent and opinionated when she came out of her shell. Leo was funny, witty, attractive, and did I mention he played guitar? In the months that followed, he and I bonded over our shared love of art and music. He showed me all these weird animated short films online, and I'd play him lesser-known songs by bands like Pink Floyd and Queen. Sometimes, if I'd had a stressful day, he'd roll us a joint to share under the pier. When he played guitar, I used to watch the way he chewed his lip in concentration, the way he closed his eyes and knit his brow as if feeling the intensity of the song. And his humour, my God, his humour. I'll never forget the time he broke his wrist, and the one thing he was upset about was not being able to polish the banister for a few weeks. Or the way he made the filthiest jokes interlaced with what seemed to be genuine compliments. It was little things like that that made me appreciate him as a person. The attraction came later. Don't get me wrong, he was always nice to look at. Hey, a guy who can pull off long hair gets my vote. But I didn't take one look at him and immediately think, I want to date this guy. In fact, I'd say it was around late June, early July 2014 when I realised there was a feeling I had for Leo that I didn't have for my other friends. Exam season was in full swing, so my emotions had to take the back seat. But between the brush strokes and graphite on paper, he was still there, standing on the precipice of my mind. Summer rolled around, and the feelings intensified. I'd lay in bed and see us making out under the pier. I'd hear the rasp of his guitar, wailing a melody just for me. I'd feel his arms around me and his breath against my ear. I'd inhale his scent of smouldering cannabis and cheap cologne. I could talk to him for hours about God knows what, but I could never tell him how I really felt. When he performed at the Triangle Tavern, I went down with Riley to see him. He played bits and pieces for us before, but this was my first time watching him do a proper set. A wave of pride swept over me. My heart soared. He had every single one of us in the palm of his hand. Many people were in awe that night, but I doubt any of them were affected the same way I was. Leo was so much more than a friend to me. He was the music I sang to, the colours I painted with, the Orpheus to my Eurydice. He was everything that was beautiful in the world. A month after that gig, he left college and went into full-time employment. I stayed for a third year to try and get another A-level, as well as figure out what I wanted to do with my life. Leo and I eventually drifted apart. It was hard at first. I did miss him, but then, a lot happened. Things changed. I met someone else and...
Mina!
Oh my god, hi!
You okay?
Yeah, sorry, I was miles away.
How are you?
Well, I'm much better now you're here.
Come on, don't flatter me.
No, seriously, I mean it. Anyway, what about you?
Same old, same old. Got laid off last year, but I'm working at my uncle's repair shop now.
Are you still doing music on the side?
Nah.
Really? How come?
Well, I guess the fact that I sold my guitar makes it kind of difficult.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I was struggling to pay the rent. Plus, I've been saving up for a car. I mean, I hadn't played in so long, so there wasn't much point in keeping it.
But, Leo, you were so good at it.
Not really. Adequate, maybe. But I wasn't exactly Hendrix, was I?
I'm not Michelangelo.
Yeah, but your stuff's genuinely really good. Like, you've got your own style and everything. You know how when you listen to certain musicians and you can tell right away it's them? I knew how to play well enough, but I didn't know how to make my own sound. Do you know what I mean? It felt stale after a while. That gig at the Triangle was the last time I ever performed.
Sorry, I had no idea.
Oh, sorry. I'll just build my own guitar, out of old car parts.
I can see it now. Leo Bradshaw guitars.
You better start working on a logo then, because I can't draw to save your life or mine. I learned something today. For the last 4 or 5 years, I've been stuck in a fantasy. Leo sprang into my life and hit the ground running. I met who I thought was a wild musician that was going to sweep me off my feet, and together we'd change the world with our artistic endeavours. Instead, that person turned out to be a regular, laid-back dude who's just happy to cruise through life and see what it brings. And honestly, I respect the hell out of him for that. He's not setting unrealistic goals or impossibly high standards. Okay, he hopes for something better, don't we all? But from what I gather, he hasn't been wasting his time with the wrong people. He hasn't spent the last 2 years trapped in an abusive relationship that only ended because of the perpetrator's hard drive got found. He isn't in the process of unlearning years of toxic behaviours that were normalised every minute of every day. He didn't sacrifice his freedom to try and play beauty to the beast. Hell, he probably wouldn't have catered to my stupid delusions either. Having an old friend stick around in spite of everything that's happened is worth so much more than all the times I heard the words, "I'm a better person when I'm with you." The point I'm trying to make is that Leo and I have a beautiful friendship that's far too precious to waste on ifs, buts and maybes. I know now what it's like to have someone try and mould you into their non-pariah, and that's not love. Love is about acceptance. It's about helping people strive to get where they need to be, as opposed to where you want them to be. Letting them know when they're in the wrong. Giving constructive criticism. It's about standing side by side rather than one jostling to get ahead of the other. Laughing with each other, not at each other. It's campfires on the beach and surprise parties. It's being remembered for the right reasons. And most importantly, it's about having people in your life who genuinely care. And that's the kind of love I already have in abundance.